I'm Scott Allen Miller. It is a beautiful day here on a sheep guarding llama, and I decided that since it is such a gorgeous day, I'm taking some time to enjoy the backyard and do some extra recording. And so today I am talking about being on lockdown and the craziness that goes on in America with everyone being locked in. Right. So we've been locked in for 1 to 2 months now. Obviously, it's the COVID crisis going on, coronavirus. And this is going to be one of those things that people look back on. It's going to be with great interest, right? Anthropologists in the future are going to look at this and be like, "Oh, this is like America's second Great Depression, and like all these things, and like it's the first time we ever went through something like this, worldwide pandemic in the era of the internet and all this." So it's certainly going to be interesting from that aspect. To look back at recordings and stuff. And I'm sorry I didn't do more videos during this, but quite frankly, we just sit around and are either in the house or in the backyard, right? Like there's nothing to tell because you don't go anywhere. So it's the most boring time ever, even though it's going to be really interesting to study later. But one of the things that really catches me is how much everyone is freaking out trying to figure out how to work from home. And one of the things that this is indicating, because so something that's happening is every company is now discovering that they can send people home and have them work, which is ridiculous because we have known for decades and been talking for decades about how people need to be working from home more, how responsible businesses are prepared for people to work from home, how you're more efficient when you work from home, how if you have people who should be able to work from home but can't, that maybe you should fire them and get people who are actually productive. This has been going on. This isn't new. No company can claim there's no plausible deniability that they thought people couldn't work from home or they thought it wasn't important or whatever. No, so of course there's people who can't work from home. Factory workers can't work from home. Doctors can't work from home. All kinds of people can't work from home. But it's the people who are now able to work from home, right? And are suddenly discovering things like they have homes without workspaces. They don't own computers. If they own computers, they don't have cameras. They don't know how to dress or behave or how to use computers. Suddenly we have an entire world of people who should have been using computers, teleconferencing, work from home, home offices, on a regular basis that have no excuse for their companies to have not have made them to do this and no excuse for them to not have privately have done this. And yet now it's becoming a national pandemic of stupidity as no one can figure out the most basic things. And so it's become just this meme of people who, nobody can figure out how to use teleconferencing. Every store is sold out of cameras and microphones and headsets, like all kinds of things that it's just beyond unacceptable that we weren't prepared for this. 20 years ago, companies of any competency were already sending people home regularly to work from home to make sure they were able to, right? Maybe not all the time, but at least ensuring that they were capable of working from home so that they were prepared for natural disasters or emergencies or fires or whatever. It's just basic business continuity. Beyond that, we know that good workers are far more productive from home and bad workers are generally less productive from home. Well, sending people home means that it's just part of hiring good people and doing good business, right? If you send people home and they can't work, fire them. Replace them with people that do work, right? Because if people can't work from home because they can't work, right? Not because their job doesn't let them. That means that they have a manager who's actually doing their job, right? Cracking the whip and making them get something done, overseeing them, doing the work for them, right? Working from home exposes how much people have not been doing their jobs, how much other people are doing them for them, how much they're a drag on the company, right? Companies that have not been sending people home have been hiding this from themselves for whatever reason. So it's ridiculous, right? I'm appalled by the whole situation, especially working in the IT space where everybody has been working from home with no excuse. In fact, it's critical that we work from home because it's just part of what we do, right? It's if we go into the office and touch stuff all the time, we never get a chance to test that we're able to support things when things really are important. And so that it's such a national thing. Everyone laughing about how no one can figure out how to use their computer. No one has computers. No one has the internet. No one has phones. Even like executives who should be all set. Like, it's been so long. We're just coming up. It's probably about 18 years now at NTG that we've had physical phones on the desks of our employees at home. 18 years. We're not some big rich company. We're not some market leader. Maybe now we are, but we weren't 18 years ago, right? We were just doing basic, fundamental, common sense. Anybody putting the slightest effort into thinking about their business would have done these things. And now, almost 20 years later, suddenly companies with deep pockets, absolutely no excuses, no technical limitations, high-speed internet everywhere. Now, of course, if you're in the third world, like, it's a different world. But in the United States, where people have the money to do these things, and buying a $100 phone is completely trivial, and getting people able to work a couple extra hours a year is more money than, the actual equipment at home. To now have every single person be like, oh, I can't take calls and do teleconferencing at the same time, or companies using technology like WebEx that just doesn't work, and garbled audio, and you have to install things on your desktop. Like, it's ridiculous in this day and age that someone's using WebEx or GoToMeeting. Like, seriously, like, it's bad enough that people are using Zoom. Zoom's kind of, it's okay, but clearly it's just kind of the thing people were talking about at the time the pandemic came. It's not that great, and the number of people who just don't have dial-in conference rooms for their own business, like, that doesn't work necessarily for third parties, but of their own stuff. It's just mind-boggling how ill-prepared companies are for the pandemic, but not for things that happened because of the pandemic. It's just exposing how ill-prepared they were for basic, fundamental IT and fundamental telecommunications and fundamental good business, real estate, and office needs all along, and how much they were just flaunting how they didn't have to be cost effective, and flaunting how the people didn't have to be effective in their work and efficient. Just, it's been like a big joke how Americans just don't have to make as much money as they need to because we can just waste it. Ha ha ha! I don't need to be profitable or any more profitable because I make so much money. And now companies that were doing that are scrambling to figure out how to keep their doors open and getting bailouts, right? Which is another thing is not too happy about. But yeah, so the things about people not being able to work from home is just, it's been blowing my mind. Now, of course, some of us work from home all the time and see it as extra ridiculous, but it doesn't change the fact that all these people could have been home being more effective all this time, and companies just haven't cared about it. Hopefully, this is a wake-up call, and American businesses and other businesses around the world, because Europe does a lot of the same thing, hopefully they start to have a bit more common sense and start looking at their businesses as businesses and thinking about it in a professional way instead of thinking about it in a controlling, hubris way, and protect themselves in the future and make the American business landscape one that takes itself a bit more seriously and is better prepared to weather storms like this. We'll see if there's any long-term lesson, but I think that there's going to be. I think that the number of people who are going to be like, look, I proved that I could not only work from home, but I was better from home, or at least as good from home, and safer and fewer sick days, and less commute time, and lower cost, and less insurance, and fewer risks. You just add it up. It makes sense to have people at home. A lot of sense to have people at home. So hopefully that works out and becomes a thing. I'm Scott L. Miller. This is Sheep Guarding Llama, and this is just one of my ancillary videos because I finally have a chance to do some recording.